Hey, alright my dear friends, it's AKREX here, and today I have a special one for you. This is a juicy one. This time we're going to be looking, as you have requested. I've seen quite a number of y'all. Don't worry, I've considered a lot of requests, but this time around we're gonna look at Primeval series Giganotosaurus. Bear with me. Okay, so let's take a look at the first point, which is the size. We don't actually have a direct, I believe, reference from the episode in Primeval that tells us what size the Giganotosaurus is. However, it's quite directly stated by Kona, one of the key characters of the Primeval series, that it was bigger than T-Rex. In fact, maybe he said bigger and meaner than T-Rex, which kind of is a bit retarded because animals are not mean, they are just animals. Right. Word. Anyway, actually, no. The Giganotosaurus was not bigger than T-Rex, because the most complete skeleton that we know, at least according to the most known evidence, and given that I personally favor a more empirical approach to these kind of things, and generally to science, I don't know of any data that actually gives us enough reason to believe Giganotosaurus would be bigger than T-Rex, because the holotype, at the very least, is barely reaching, according to Hartman, 7 tons. The T-Rexes, on average, the adults, even if we don't take Sioux but take a slightly lighter specimens, I'm pretty certain they would exceed 7 tons in weight on average. If Sioux is 1.4 tons given here, I am almost certain that you could probably deduct quite a bit, and even if you make it 7.5 tons, that's still heavier than the holotype of a Giganotosaurus. That is, if you take a slightly lighter specimen compared to Sioux. But if you take Sioux, the most complete specimen of Tyrannosaurus, and among the largest known as well, I would say quite clearly that this the statement that Giganotosaurus is larger than T-Rex is completely wrong already. It's actually quite the other way around. Giganotosaurus may have been longer, at the most, maybe, not even maybe a full meter, to be honest, because Sioux is given about 12.3 or 12.4 meters at length. Giganotosaurus holotype is estimated, based on, again, missing parts reconstruction, between 12 and 13 meters, so it could well be 12, which is under, or it could be 13, which is over than the Sioux, but it would not be even a full meter longer. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, yeah. And the other thing as well to consider is how obviously we can see that the mass concentration in one area compared with the T-Rex and the Giganotosaurus, they are completely different. Well, Giganotosaurus is more spread out and generally is lighter. The Tyrannosaurus, on the other hand, is a bit shorter, but it has more mass in the area of torso, specifically in the neck as well, in the skull. It's completely different, and that probably largely has a lot to do with the tactics and feeding, strategies that they deployed. But that's not really the main issue of the video. The main issue that I have with this is the claim that Giganotosaurus was larger than T-Rex, and I say it was not. And here is my case. Alright, next. Now, to look at the anatomy, let's start off with this concept art. Now, on the first glimpse, it looks really beautiful. It looks like it's been very nicely done with the style, just the way it's presented. However, it's wrong. Because first thing I see looking at the arms, they are too damn big, and they are wrongfully oriented. The palms should be oriented inwards, not being pronated the way they are doing right here. The other thing as well that's clearly wrong is that if you were to look at the skeletal comparisons, all you have to do is basically Photoshop one of the top digits out of the Giganotosaurus forelimb, and you will pretty much get a slightly longer limb, the same one of a T-Rex. And the only thing that being different is the forearm part maybe being a bit, wider, just because it needs to accommodate this extra digit attachment. But other than that, they're pretty much the same size. Just the difference in the digits is the only real difference between a T-Rex and a Giganotosaurus. Yes, of course, I would accept the idea that Giganotosaurus forelimbs are a little larger than those of a T-Rex, but not as large, and not even, barely, maybe at most about half as large as those that they're showing in this concept art, which is obviously incorrect. The legs are also, especially the bottom parts of the legs, are completely wrong, because they are too massive. Way too much weight on it. Just way too much. It clearly doesn't coincide with the skeleton. And my main issue as well is the skull. Now, the skull is definitely wrong on many levels. First of all, the teeth. That's completely wrong in terms of how the teeth of Giganotosaurus were. They were not that spread out. They were not that robust at all whatsoever. This is what the Giganotosaurus skull with its teeth looks like. That's exactly very typical of how an Allosauroid teeth look like. That's what most of the earlier period large theropods were, whether they were Allosauroids or Megalosauroids and etc., until the late Cretaceous Tyrannosaurida came to be, which started showing a different pattern of development for the teeth, given probably to do with how they deployed their tactics. But you see, this is obviously quite wrong. And the amount of scars it has, we don't have any evidence, first of all, with regards to whether or not Giganotosaurus was even violent to each other, and how else would they be able to get these scars in these areas. I mean, what could possibly give them these kind of gashes and scratches? The only way you could get these kind of gashes on the face is if you have it bitten. The only way to have it bitten is by somebody who was basically ballsy enough to bite it. You know what I mean? The only thing that could probably in the same period and in the same area and location that could be ballsy enough to bite a Giganotosaurus face and potentially have a chance of surviving that, move, that would be another Giganotosaurus, I guess, disputing over something, whether it's territory, whether it's mating rights, whether it's if they were, social, pack kind of structure similar to lions, then maybe they would have some kind of leadership, whether it's a matriarch or whether it's a lead male, depending on what sort of structure they were favoring and whether or not at this point reverse sexual dimorphism may have evolved, which there is no evidence of either. So we cannot really make any strong assumptions, but we can obviously say that if this was to happen, this is how it would have likely happened in either one of these scenarios. But we don't have evidence for that, so therefore I don't see where that is coming from. Now, another thing, of course, to say that's very important about this, specifically just looking at this illustration, is I'm quite happy that they're keeping the tail straight, parallel above the ground. I'm happy about that part. Okay, let's actually try to look at some of the images of the head first. I want to look at the head. And what is going on? What is that black dark patch that's between the eye socket and the ear? Why is it being so... What happened to it? Did somebody punch a hole in it? Just like... What? Right. Also, yes, like I said, you see the teeth are being spread out and absolutely massive. That is not what the teeth of a Giganotosaurus looked like at all. And also the skull itself is done completely wrong. The eyebrow sockets are completely wrong. The eyebrow crests should be differently structured. There should be no visible fenestrae as well. The snout should be a bit straighter rather than being curvy like that of a Tyrannosaurida. This is not a characteristic of an Allosauroid, basically. I am kind of somehow actually happy with them giving it a bit of a neck pouch, just because it's something that feels a bit consistent with any large size theropod, given that they were mostly probably swallowing their food, so that could have allowed maybe with the process. So I mean, I wouldn't be nitpicking at that. Like if it was too skinny, I would probably be quite a bit annoyed, but I'm not annoyed because I believe personally that this makes perfect sense for an animal that big, that takes massive bites and barely chews its food, to be able to swallow it without choking to death, literally. So, one other thing I wanted to look at was the front view of the skull, or at least what could be somehow said or called, whatever, the front. Well, first of all, this promo image, my goodness. Am I the only one seeing an absolute mockery and parody of a Jurassic Park T-Rex here? First of all, if I were to just really take out this head on its own, I would think it's just a badly done Jurassic Park imitation of T-Rex, really. Secondly, yeah, I did say about those brow horns, didn't I? Yeah, oh my god. Cringeworthy. Right, and yeah, those massive oversized arms as well, oh my goodness. It's just too painful to look. I'm losing, like, I'm completely being lost for words. I mean, I don't even know what else to say. This snout, it's so wide as well. It shouldn't be that wide. It should be a lot kind of it just should be deconstructed and reconstructed all over again, really, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, let's try a different image just to give it a different... Oh, yeah, this scene when it comes out of the hangar, I believe, or whatever, like this thingamajiggy is. Look at the size of the feet and the legs being absolutely skinny ass sticks. Yeah, did I just say that? Yeah, sorry. Well, no, I'm not so sorry actually, because they are pretty damn skinny and absolutely atrocious. I mean, what the heck was the designer thinking? The neck. Look at that length of the neck. What the hell is it? Is it like basically? Oh, I'm a sauropod wannabe. What the heck is it doing? What is going on here? And did I say that? Oh my god. It's another one that's starving. No wonder it's pissed off and trying to murder everybody once again, because it's freaking starving. Look at it. It's absolutely shrink wraps. And you just every single time. What is it about this whole shrink wrapped culture? Like, what's going on? Why are they doing that all the time? They're always... I think this is just one of the ways that they're trying to force the plot. They're just trying to starve their animals so that they can then make them really angry to the point when they can just be like, okay, I'm just gonna go and murder everybody. And who is better to murder than the humans? Because I never met them. They've never been around in my period. But I'm just gonna go and murder them because why not? Because it's humans created my concept and made me shrink wrapped, and that's why I'm gonna go and murder them, which is fair enough. But still, it's absolutely wrong. And oh my goodness, what were they thinking? And what are those things that are sticking out on the back of its neck? That's like, we don't have evidence of these being around. Why are they sticking it there? What is it about generally people when they design something, they try to always stick something in there because, oh, that's gonna look cool, oh, that's gonna look so badass, oh, that's gonna go artistic, oh, that's gonna go awesome, oh, that must be really accurate. What the hell is going on? What is... yeah. Anyway. Wrong. Next. Next. Now, let's get to the other point, which is their... behavior. Now that is going to be very interesting, and the reason why is this. So once again, they say in the description and characteristics, that's, by the way, I'm not a fan of wikis generally, because they usually are not sponsored by the official source and the lore, so they're just basically fanon, and I absolutely hate fanon. And I have many examples of what's wrong with fanon. In fact, I can make a whole lot of videos about what's wrong with fanons on some of the franchises that I'm kind of quite consider myself to be literate about. But anyway, that's a different topic. My point is here that this is the only thing I could find, so we'll stick to what we have. If there's better description, more like from official sources, from the actual official source material, then perhaps if you have it, then I would love to take a look at it, and maybe I could add a side note somewhere or pin a comment, maybe like something like that. However, if there is none other, then we'll just have to make do with what we have here. And what we have here is that they claim that, once again, I just debunked the idea of the, of it being larger than T-Rex. We don't know how much smaller, if at all, it was than a Spinosaurus, because we don't actually have a good specimen that would be 100% confirmed to be a full specimen of a Spinosaurus, and again, just too ambiguous to make any claims on that part. So yeah. Now the other thing as well is that the forelimbs were not that much bigger in proportion, which I have also debunked, which is because they're stating that they were bigger, but they were not really. I mean, they were bigger if you say, yeah, they were kind of, but not really. If you look at the skeletals, you hardly see any much of a difference at all. It's really just the differences are minor to the point that they're negligible. Now, they say that they lived in packs, which again is one of those things that is extremely hard to prove and test. It's possible and plausible, but we don't really have enough to claim for it. So I would leave that point as just being plausible but speculative rather than confirmed. Although at least some were known to stay away from pack and go for their own prey, well, that is more or less likely, because yes, you'd always get these odd ones out that would go away and do their own thing, whatever it is that they're after. So I'm fine with that idea. Then, once they find their prey, they would head to the prey, catch it in its jaws, and immediately devour it. How quickly would they devour it? They would have to kill it first, and Giganotosaurus, unless it was probably after a relatively weaker and smaller prey, I doubt it would be able to take down something its own size or bigger just by attacking it and directly devouring it straight away. That's not gonna be happening. Because it's not built to, tackle the prey like that. It's built to, its teeth are more kind of cutting and slicing, which means that they are too delicate for this type of style of killing that they're trying to describe here. Giganotosaurus was very powerful and formidable and did not tire easily. Okay, there's no doubt that any large predator, or any predator for that matter, would be pretty powerful, okay? Because they need to be powerful in order to kill the prey. There is no argument there. However, I am not on board with the idea that they did not tire easily, because we don't actually know how durable and how, they were. Maybe they were durable, maybe they were not, and maybe this could have dictated their hunting tactics as well. But we simply don't have enough evidence to test this hypothesis in any way, to make it reliable enough to exclude all other possibilities. And now, they could quickly recover from being tripped and collapsing despite their top heavy weight. Okay, we don't have real proof of that either, but I am kind of on board, because generally, if you look at animals and how they are specifically, and dinosaurs, they seem to be designed in a way that they can still maintain their balance quite well. To be perfectly honest, I don't even believe in this idea that a trip fall could actually kill an animal unless it lands in such an awkward way that would just basically break its neck. If it doesn't break its neck, I don't see itself basically having its brain splattered everywhere, unless it hits something really sharp and pointy that would just basically shatter it, or poke its eye out, or whatever else it would do to it to make it permanently damaged to the point that it would just die. But yeah, I'm not on board with the idea of trip falling and killing itself. So yeah, I'm quite okay with the idea that it's that they could recover. However, again, we need to be able to test this claim to actually agree or disagree in full. I tend to lean towards agreement, But then again, somebody who has done more tests on this might actually disagree and say that once they trip, they do fall, and there is like this data and etc. But then again, there needs to be data and enough of it to actually be able to determine whether their claim of this is actually correct. But overall, I'm happy with the idea that they could recover, because, you know, if they couldn't, they would probably be dying like flies. And I doubt that's what was happening. Due to their great size, power, and aggression, even one Giganotosaurus would be highly dangerous, chaotic, and difficult to contain. Okay, here's the thing. When you starve your animal to the point that it becomes so shrink-wrapped, then yes, it is going to be highly dangerous, chaotic, and difficult to contain, because it's gonna murder you because it's starving, it wants to eat, and it's also angry because it's starving and wants to eat, and it's not getting any food. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Yeah, basically, there is no doubt that, yeah, they are big, they're considered to be the largest among the largest predatory theropods. Yes, true. They are powerful. Yes, true. To a degree, to an extent, within the given context for their period, yes, they are maybe among the most powerful theropods. And as for aggression, again, we don't know how truly aggressive they were. We don't actually have any evidence of them showing aggression to each other, which kind of actually leads me to believe that they may not have been all that aggressive. But then again, just living together does not mean they could not be aggressive. Being aggressive to each other is not antisocial. It's also part of social structure, because they are competing and determining the guy on the block, so to speak. So, yeah. I mean, there is part of it, as you can tell, that I agree with, and parts of it that I disagree with. Now, overall, it's also... I just want to say that yes, it's very typically awesome bro in every single way. It's basically just trying to murder humans, which is typical Jurassic Park 3 for you. And we got also another Jurassic Park kind of reference about Abby telling Connor not to move, and yeah, like standing still is really gonna help. Where's that written? That's bullcrap. Absolute bullcrap, okay? No, standing still is not gonna help you, okay? You have to run, because if you cannot run and if you cannot hide or get directly away from it somehow, you're screwed, okay? Connor should have been freaking, you know, turned into a bunch of toothpicks for this Giganotosaurus, not just laying there still and being perfectly cool laying there still and not being touched at all. And it snuff it as well. If an animal can smell you as well, it's very likely it's just gonna go, oh yeah, that's food, yummy. So no, Connor, you should have been dead. I like Andrew Lee Potts actually, and I like Connor as a character, but he should have been dead. Right. And also, yeah, he called it a G-Rex. Really? Really? No, seriously though, why call it a G-Rex? There is no Rex in the name of Giganotosaurus. There is a T-Rex because it's Tyrannosaurus Rex. Giganotosaurus is Giganotosaurus carolini, it's not a Giganotosaurus Rex. Why is he calling it a G-Rex? Oh, yeah, because it's awesome, because it's for awesome bros to like sit down and, I don't know, jerk off or something. You can tell I'm in a mood right now. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm honestly, of course, as you can tell, my verdict that Primeval either have been too lazy or they just really messed up pretty bad. But their design of Giganotosaurus is completely inaccurate in almost every aspect. Almost every aspect. Almost is because I'm okay with the color because they didn't paint it purple. And I don't give a damn about that Barney little shit. Anyway, this is my analysis of Giganotosaurus from Primeval. I hope this was interesting, entertaining, hopefully educative. And if you have, of course, any questions, do post them down in the comments below. And if you have any other requests to do, and I know you do, definitely, because there are still some things on the agenda that are still gonna be obviously tackled as we go along, then by all means post them. Then thumbs up if you already see them posted, and please also check out my Patreon. Right now what I'm doing is I'm gonna be, for everybody who becomes a patron, I will, once I reach a certain amount of patrons, I will start doing the raffle sort of tickets prizes for, and the winner basically who gets randomly selected. In fact, it might be several of you, because if there's going to be a huge quantity of patrons, then there may be a chance that I might do several of them. So it means that if it's going to reach maybe 100, then maybe 5 of you will be, picked at random to win my newly released 1:35 scale Tyrannosaurus resin kit. I've recently done a tutorial video on it for those of you who know. For those of you who haven't seen it yet. Yes. And one other thing as well is that even if you don't win the prize as a result of that thing, you are gonna you're gonna become one of those people who will have a 10% discount on every model kit that will thereafter be purchased. So for example, if you became a patron but you didn't get to win the prize, you didn't get randomly picked, you will still be able to use a voucher if you wanted to kill why did I say kill in for 10% discount, special offer, right? If you wanted to buy my kit and any other subsequent kit that I will release, you can apply this 10% discount. As long as I can identify you correctly, that is, then it will be no problem. So there is that. And of course, thank you for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, and share. Be good. AK Rex out.